Today, I'm going to review the hiking shoes I wore for my section hike on the Pacific Crest Trail this last summer. A lot of you have been really curious about the Altras, so I'm going to focus on giving you a review of the Altra trail runners that I wore on the Pacific Crest Trail.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Got to find your own.
Hey all you beautiful friendly people, otherwise known as friendlies, as I like to call you. I spent the whole summer hiking the Pacific Crest Trail through Oregon and southern Washington, and I started in the northern part of California, so I hiked 576 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and I went through 3 pairs of hiking shoes. Yeah, 3 pairs of shoes. You know, when I did my last long hike, the John Muir Trail, I went out on a whole bunch of training hikes before, so I was able to shake down my gear a lot better than I did this time because it was too busy and I didn't get out a lot. So yeah, I went through 3 pairs of boots. And today I'm going to talk about all 3 pairs of shoes that I wore, but I'm going to end with the Altras because those are what I ended with on the trail, and a lot of you have a lot of questions about the Altras, so I'm going to give you a review about the Altras. And these are the, I don't know, what is that, TMP 1.5? Anyway, we'll talk about those in a minute. I don't have the first pair of boots I wore. I started off with a pair of Oboz mid-high hiking boots because I had always worn hiking boots and I was a die-hard hiking boots. I need the ankle support, I need the weight, I need the structure, I need the sturdiness of the hiking boot. And I'm not going to go into too much about those because I did a video before my hike, so check up here and I'm going to put a link to that video talking about the shoes that I started with and all about like my reasons for choosing hiking boots and things like that. But now that I've done it, now that I've done over 500 miles, have tried a bunch of different shoes, including shoes and trail runners, I now have more information and realize just what I didn't know back then. But so the thing is about the Oboz is I did buy them a size bigger. Anybody who's going to do a long hike with a backpack, you need to get your shoes a size bigger because your feet are going to swell and they're going to spread out and they're going to get bigger, and that's going to cause problems. So they were, the sweet spot for me is really, or the difficulty is you need to buy shoes that are going to be a size bigger, but you also don't want your feet sliding around in them, you know, until your feet do swell to that bigger size. And so you have to kind of weigh going in, and is your foot slipping? Is your heel slipping? Is your toe going to hit the toe box? You're going to lose toenails. So there's a lot that goes into choosing the right boot. I thought I was good with the Oboz. My toe didn't slide. The toe box felt like it had plenty of room, and I thought I was going to be fine. Well, 160 miles in, by the time I got to Crater Lake, I was pretty miserable. I had blisters, which I never get blisters, ever. I've never had a problem with blisters. I wear double-lined wool socks. Usually I was always wearing rice socks, which I thought were wool and double-lined, but I had blisters. My feet were hurting. I was pretty miserable. So by the time I got to Crater Lake, about 167 miles in, before I got to Crater Lake, I decided to send for my backup shoes, which were my Merrells. These are my Merrells. I had these as backup. These are also a size bigger than I normally wear. They're 11 women's. I normally wear a 10 in women's. So I sent for these. The reason I didn't start with these is because they were pretty roomy and my feet slid around in them quite a bit, and I didn't think that they were going to work for me. But my Oboz were pretty tight already 167 miles in by the time I got to Crater Lake. So I sent for these thinking that, you know, these were my backup. I actually had these in a resupply box to be sent to me halfway through my hike. I was supposed to do 1,000 miles, so they were supposed to be sent to me like someplace in southern Washington, and I had my friend open up the box and ship them to me at Crater Lake instead, and that's why I don't have the Oboz. I wasn't going to send them back, and I wasn't going to carry them, of course, so I left them in the hiker box at Crater Lake. So I went for the next 164 miles, I wore the Merrells and more blisters. I don't know that I had necessarily had foot pain with these. I don't remember now foot pain, just the blisters were terrible. I had such horrible problems with blisters between my toes and on my heels and just all kinds of really bad blisters. And as I said in the videos, in the hiking videos, 257th mile. It's strange coincidences. So longest mileage wise, longest day wise, and I'm feeling it. I'm really dragging today. Everything, my feet hurt really bad today. I had to use duct tape on my foot to hold the moleskin on because I have that giant blister. Some of that might have been my socks being dirty because there wasn't a lot of water on the trail, so I wasn't able to rinse them out every day like I did on the John Muir Trail, so it might have been dirt. But what I also realized, and I'll get to that in a minute, what I also realized is that these were too small. And I didn't realize that until I got to Sisters, Oregon. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But these are a good boot, and you'll see, look how good the tread is on them. I mean, they didn't get hardly any wear and tear in 167 miles. They look in pretty good shape for 167 miles, although 167 miles isn't really a lot, but they held up really well. The problem is though that they were snug, even though they're a size bigger than I normally wear. They were snug, and my feet and my toes were rubbing up against them and just causing a lot of blisters. And the shoelace issues on these are not from the trail. They're chewed up from my puppy Huck. But yeah, they held up pretty well. And who knows, maybe if these were the right size, they would have been fine. But because they were too small, they really caused me a lot of problems. And so that brings me to the Altras. By the time I got to Sisters, Oregon, so I wore the Altras for 164 miles. By the time I got to Sisters, Oregon, I literally limped into Sisters, Oregon. A friend picked me up, took me into Bend to go to REI, and I was like, look at my feet. They're a mess. What should I do? And they said every PCT hiker is wearing the Altras. I actually said, I think I want to go with trail runners. And they said every PCT hiker is wearing the Altras. We sell so many of the Altras. And so why don't you try the Altras? And I did. And the selling point of these is look how wide that toe box is. My feet splayed out, my toes splayed out so wide in that toe box, and they just felt so comfy, and they're so lightweight. They're also zero drop, which means for runners, it makes sense for runners, which means the heel and the toe hits the ground at the same time, which is supposed to lessen impact and cause less strain, I think, on your feet and your leg muscles. I didn't like the zero drop. So while this took care of my blisters, I didn't have another blister once I got these. I started having problems on the bottom of my foot. Here, I'll show you. Down here, like right around here, I felt like I had a ball on the bottom of my foot. Usually I didn't start feeling it until like mile 10, but there were days, 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, I was starting to really feel that ball really bad on the bottom of my foot. And I could sit down, I could massage it, and it would feel better for a while. But I think the zero drop, in fact, I'm looking for another pair of hiking shoes for my New Zealand hiking trip. And if you want to go to New Zealand with me and do some tramping and some freedom camping, subscribe here. I'm going to New Zealand very soon. And I am looking for another pair of hiking shoes. And I'm not going to choose Altras because of the zero drop. I love the toe box. The other thing is, so I wear a 10 in women's or about a 9 usually in men's. I bought 11 women's in both my Obos and my Merrells for the trail. Those were too small. Any guesses? I think I've already told you. Guess what size these are? 11 men's. My feet still have not shrunk back to normal. I don't know that they will. I have a couple pair, these. I am wearing these a little bit now, but my toes are bumping up against. These are a little small. Like, I could never wear these on a long hike. In fact, I wore them on a 5-mile hike the other day, and by the time I got back, my feet were hurting really bad because these are too small now. They were big before I left. They were roomy. That's why I chose these for the second half of my hike. I had them in my resupply box, and now I can't wear them. My feet still have not gotten back to normal. So I went up to a size and a half. These are an 11. I might have been able to go with a 10 and a half, but they didn't have them. So I went with the 11. And so my feet stretched to almost 2 full sizes in less than 500 miles, in like 300 miles. While I loved how lightweight they are, I mean, I could hike for days in these. Really big difference. I have heard that a pound on your feet is equal to 5 pounds on your back. You know, and I kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, not a big deal. 5 pounds on my back, it was a big deal. I instantly noticed how much lighter, I got less tired, I was able to hike more miles, except for the pain on the bottom of my foot. But that was really the only problem I had with these, was that pain, and it might have been a plantar fasciitis. I know it's plantar fasciitis is what you get, but I think it's your plantar fasciitis muscle down on your foot or something. So the zero drop just didn't work for me. The other thing about these is, you know, they were only $100, but look how trashed they are. Look at, so I wore these. I did wear these for more miles. These lasted longer than the other two. These lasted 245 miles on the trail. I do wear them now out and stuff, but look at, they're already ripping. Look at that. They're already ripping. You can see the tread is worn pretty bad. And I mean, these look worn. You know, they've got 100 miles on them more than these, but look at the difference. These are still holding up really well. I mean, these hardly look worn at all compared to these. These are trashed. And the one thing I did learn after being on the trail, I mean, you can see even, look at, that's coming apart. I mean, everything, they're just trashed. And everybody that I talked to on the trail who is wearing Ultras said they never lasted more than, I think, 300 miles. And I had 245 miles on them. And plus all the day hiking I've been doing since I've been off the trail. So these probably have about 300 miles on them, and they're done. They're toast. So the thing about ultralight gear, whether you're talking about shoes, trail runners, whether you're talking about backpacks or tents, they do not build ultralight to last. They build ultralight to be lightweight. And in fact, I had a problem, and I'm gonna do a gear review pretty soon, but I had a problem with my backpack. I had the Gossamer Gear Mariposa backpack, and the zipper on the pocket broke. And when I was researching, or when I went on the website to see and contacted them to see if they would replace the hip belt, they really made me send pictures. Because they don't guarantee that their stuff is going to last. It's not meant to last. It's just meant to be lightweight. And so if you're looking for a pair of shoes that's going to last more than 300 miles, these are not it. These are throwaways, basically. They're throwaways. So I guess my review is, if you just want something for 300 miles, if you're not bothered by zero drop, if that's not going to be an issue for you, and if you have wide feet and you need a wide toe box, and you want something super lightweight and ultralight, these are a great shoe. But the cons are they're not going to last, and the zero drop causes problems. I also did notice it took me about 2 or 3 days for my muscles in my legs, I think my calves and a little bit in my thighs, to adjust to the zero drop, but it only lasted I was doing by that point probably about 15 miles a day, and so it only took 2 or 3 days. But I did notice when I left Sisters, I was having aches and pains in my legs and thighs that I didn't have before, that I think was a result of the zero drop. So everything hitting the ground at the same time, as opposed to a traditional shoe, I think your heel hits the ground first. So that's going to work different muscles, and it's going to take some getting used to. So that's it. That's my review on the Ultras, and I hope you found that helpful for choosing the right hiking shoe for you. The jury is still out. I still have not found my perfect go-to pair of hiking shoes. I'm going to REI in a couple days, though, to do some more, research and try on some new shoes to see what's going to go to New Zealand with me, and do all the hiking and backpacking that I'm going to do in New Zealand. I wish Ultras would make a non-zero drop shoe. I would buy them. Or if another company would make something, I joked and said that these are like clown feet on the trail, because my feet, a size 11, I'm 5'4". These are 11 men's. And I did feel like I was wearing clown feet at first. And I was worried that my feet had so much room. My toes were so splayed out. I remember in the video, I'll put a link up here, I worried that my foot was sliding around in them too much and I would get blisters, but I never had another blister. 264 miles without a blister in these. But they're trashed. They're falling apart, totally falling apart. And I'll let you know what I end up with for New Zealand. Hope you found that helpful. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you want more adventure, fun, all the things that I get to do because I live in an RV, be sure to subscribe below, as well as just some inspiration and thoughtful stuff as well. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I appreciate each and every one of you being here and being a part of my audience. And you know what? If you have found a hiking shoe with a big toe box that you like, that isn't zero drop, let me know. Leave your comments below. Thank you all so much. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. I'll see you soon.